What's going on YouTube? Today I'm coming back with another video, and this is going to trigger a lot of people. Let me go ahead and clarify this as well. This video is not about black women. Shut the fuck up with that. This video is about US women dating there versus dating Colombian women. This is not about black women. I never have addressed black women. Please shut up. You're bitter as hell. Let's go ahead and start out. The time it took to set a date whenever dating women in the United States. In the United States, in my experiences, the average date takes 2 to 3 weeks to come about after meeting that woman. Don't believe me? Check out this clip. Have you ever had a one-night stand?
Yes.
And how long do you usually talk to someone before you go on a date?
2-3 weeks-ish. If I don't think there's any boyfriend material there, I'm gonna sleep with you and be done with you.
So there it is from the horse's mouth, some random woman on the street saying that. 2 of them. I mean, I could show another one, but that's one of them. In Colombia, I'm gonna have to say the dating was instantaneous. You get a chick's number later on that day, or perhaps the next day, you're gonna go on a date. It's like that everywhere outside the states I've been to so far. What is the flake rate? So let's say you set a date with an American chick. I would say 80% of the time they're gonna flake. Disagree? You're full of shit. 80% of the time American women flake. In Colombia, I have been flaked on 0 times. Brazil, 0 times. I've never been flaked on outside the states. Don't know what a flake is? Well, here's a flake. We set a date, all of a sudden her stomach hurts. She can't show up. Now that may be true, but we know in the states that is a common cop-out. It's just so happened with women in the states, all of a sudden their stomach hurts. All of a sudden their grandmother died. Yeah, bullshit. Next, on time. In the United States, how often do women show up on time to dates? 20% of the time. Here's the catcher. In Colombia, how often do they show up on time to the dates? 0% of the time. They are always late. I can guarantee you in Colombia, every time I went on a date, they were always hella late. But here's the difference. What were the chances of that woman keeping in touch with you, tell you, hey baby, I'm running late. Hey baby, my tire popped or I'm still getting dressed. 100% of the time they did that. Even though that they were late, they all let me know, hey, I'm running late. See, in America, only 10% of the time a woman will let you know she's running late. I can guarantee you in the States, if a woman is running late on you on a date, she's leaving you in the dark. She'll just she'll show up when she gets there. It won't even tell you that. It's fucking rude. And that's not even limited to American women. That's just the American culture. They don't give a damn about you. Using the phone during the date. American women, 70% of the time, you're going to have that issue. In the United States, I found myself on many dates like, here, give me your phone. Put it in my pocket. I had to do that. And then you get some interaction. Could say, oh, maybe she doesn't like you. Or maybe it's just the culture here. We use our phones a lot. In Colombia, that number is 10%. 10% of the time you will have a Colombian woman texting or just being completely distracted. Outside of the country in general, I get undivided attention when I'm on a date or just communicating with women at any time. If it's on the street, you get undivided attention. In the States, you get half-assed or, like I said, 30% attention. On that date, will you have good conversation? I would say in the States, 9% of the time. Not 99, as in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9% of the time I went on a date, she had something to talk about. Usually they were just no substance, boring as hell. I mean, Jesus Christ, you wonder if they graduated high school because it's like, talk about something. Talk about, if you don't have anything to talk about between us, talk about Vladimir Putin, talk about CNN, talk about the weather. I mean, shit, talk about the new Audi that just talk about something. Shit, I don't want to hear about a rapper. I'll tell you that. And that's not even on a date. That's just knowing them in general. In Colombia, 90% of the time they have good conversation. The only reason I did not put 100% was because there's a language barrier. I do not speak Spanish. I speak Portuguese and English, not Spanish. What are the chances of an American woman wanting to come back home with you or jump to another spot after that date or go on a date with you? I'm going to have to say 0 to 10% of the time American women will come on a date with you, because here we have a foodie call culture where women will literally use you just for validation or a free meal. In Colombia, I would have to say the rate was 100%. You know why I say that? Because those women will not go on a date with you if they are not sexually attracted to you. And that's everywhere. It was the same thing in Brazil. I've never heard a man outside the States say he went on a date with a woman that was not sexually attracted to him. Don't give me that bullshit like you don't know what I'm talking about. Women in the States will get your number, not even physically like you, not even like what you said to them, and she'll just text you just for the hell of it so she can have some validation. No, thank you. What is the follow-up rate? Well, what do I mean by follow-up? When I say follow-up, I'm saying after the date, what is the rate of these women calling you, wanting to reschedule another date? Again, now that happened to me in the States. I'd say about 40% of the time. I've had some chicks that really like me. I met her through a circle of friends and we went on a good date, and then she didn't come back home with me, nothing. We just went on a date. She's telling her friends about me the next day, yet she didn't text me back the next day when I reached out. Oh, you know what I did wrong? I did the formula wrong. The dating coaches said after you go on a good date, you're supposed to wait 6 weeks before you reach out again. Got it. So that's what you deal with in the States. But the follow-up rate in Colombia is 90%. 90% of the time, and I only didn't put 100 because I had to leave some room. There are some games in Colombia, but nowhere near as much as the United States. The follow-up rate in Colombia is 90%. They're going to all call you back. They're going to all let you know when you get home. They're going to send you a selfie whenever they get home. How would you like that? Views on misogyny, meaning that are you a chauvinist or machisto for every goddamn. In the United States, I'm going to have to say 100% of the time you're going to run into that. Even the chicks that say that they're not, that say that they're traditional, they're still from the States. So they still view a lot of basic masculine stuff as being super controlling and misogynistic. I don't have time for it. In Colombia, it's there too, but I would say only 10 to 20% of the time. There are nowhere near as many feminists and as many poison feminist mindsets in Colombia as there are in the United States. Likelihoods of cooperation and easygoingness when interacting. In the United States, 10% of the time you'll get cooperation. Now, what do I mean by cooperation? Well, if I say, hey, move this candle this way, please, it's not aligned properly. In the States, 10% of the time you'll run into one that'll just move it for you. And the other 90%, you're not my daddy. Bitch, I didn't say I was your daddy. I'll just ask you to move the fucking candle. It was just a favor. Can you do it? Can you turn that light switch? My light's a little off. I'm not your mom. You need to ask. I said, can you? That's what you deal with in the States. It's not cooperative. That's not easygoing. That's not, it's just not good. In Colombia, 90% of the time you're gonna get good cooperation. I just didn't give it a 100% because it's not perfect. You will run into some uncooperative women, but I didn't run into them. But I'm just saying. What is the text back time? Meaning that no matter how long you've known this chick before or after a date, you just met her, how soon is she going to text you back? In the States, you can expect a text back anywhere from 5 hours to 2 days. The matter of fact, if you get a chick's number at the mall and you text her an hour later, she's going to put you in the back pocket because you're thirsty. That's what you deal with in the States. So she's going to purposely make you wait for a text back. You like that? In Colombia, and this is everywhere for me so far that I've been, 5 minutes to 1 hour max. Usually it's only 1 hour if they're at work or something or they're doing something. Women outside the States text you back immediately. If they see the text, they respond. There is no bullshit going on. You need a flow chart to fool the chick in the United States. What are the chances of you finding a woman in the States that is nurturing versus Colombia? Well, in Colombia, I would say 90%. And only reason I put 90% is because you might not always find. But every chick I found in Colombia was nurturing. One of them not so much. But the good majority of them are going to be nurturing and they're going to do what chicks in the States would call, oh, you think you're my son and I'm your mother. Okay. Nurturing women in the States, if you want to find a nurturing woman, you need to download a game called Where's Waldo. And whenever you find Waldo, however long it took you to find that, that's when you'll find, download that. Excitement to see you, meaning that if you set a date with a chick in the States versus Colombia, how much of a light bulb will she be whenever you see her? Will she be lit up like a sprouting spring flower or a light bulb? Does she look like she just had a bright idea when she seen you? Like, oh, does she look like that? I'm going to say in the States, I experienced that 30% of the time. It's not that I didn't get it. It's just, it was so far and thin. I think a lot of people here are miserable, men and women. So I don't give a damn. I'm not dealing with anybody that's miserable. And in Colombia, 100% of the time, it was like a bright idea was seeming like, oh, there you go. That's why. Let me act like I give a fuck about being here. At least, even if she was faking it, at least she did it. What is the language barrier in these two countries? The United States speaks English. I speak English. Colombia speaks Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. In Colombia, I would say the language barrier was about 50% because I can speak Portuguese, so I could understand a good amount of what they were saying, but not enough to actually get by. But in the States, the language barrier for me was 70%, which is quite odd because we both speak the same language, but when I communicate, things don't seem to go through. Things seem to be misunderstood, misinterpreted, taken the wrong way. It seems like you can't say anything right. There's a language barrier in the States. And if you speak English, you've probably experienced it. Weaponizing sex against you. In the States, you're going to experience that probably 70% of the time. Dude, if you're dating in the States and you're not some rich guy, you probably have blue balls right now. In Colombia, 0% of the time. And that's anywhere. I've never had a woman outside the States try to weaponize sex. No, it's just not a thing. I'm not even going to go into this one because this one is self-explanatory. Wife material in these environments. In the United States, 20% of the time you're running into women that are wife material and there's still going to be a catch to that. But they're out there. That 20% is probably already married. In Colombia, 70% of the women, I would say, are wives. In Medellin, I've only been in Medellin. I don't need you Colombia experts trying to critique me. I've only been to fucking Medellin. 70% of those women that I ran into were wife material. Why aren't you married then? I'm 23. I'm not trying to get married right now. I'm just here helping men understand. For the men, there might be some men that want to get married, and that's what this is here for. 70% of those women that I bumped into we're wife material, and I leave the 30% off because you have people that ain't shit everywhere and you have feminists everywhere. Physical contact, meaning that you go on a date with them or you're walking through the park or the mall with them, and are they touching your hand, holding your hand? When y'all sit at the table, do they rub your leg? I've had a chick rub on my leg at the table in the States, and that's very, she gets some points for that. That's like a turn on, like, damn, she's into me. 50% of the time you can run it at the States. Half the women either don't know how to do that or they're cold. In the United States, we have a cold culture. We don't like to show emotions towards each other. So 50% of the time, women are just not taught to be women anymore in the States, so you're not getting that. In Colombia, 100% of the time, anywhere outside of the States, 100% of the time, they definitely show you that they like you physically. That does not mean sex. That means if she's just, like I said, holding your hand, rubbing your leg, just touching you, it means a lot, and they just don't do it in the States like they do in other countries like Colombia. True to their word. 25% of the time, I found women in the States to be true to their word. What do I mean by that? Oh, okay, we agreed for 8 o'clock, I'll be there. 25% of the time, that's true. The majority of that time, it's a fucking lie. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna call you in the morning. Lie. 25%, sometimes it's true. A quarter, not 3 out of 4 quarters. In Colombia, I found that to be 100% true. If they say they're gonna be there, they might not be on time, but again, they will let you know. They will video chat you and show you I'm still getting dressed. They move slow for some reason, but they're gonna show up. They're not gonna lie to you about a lot. They're true to their word. They're true to their word. You know, in Colombia, they're not going to magically, all of a sudden my house got burned down the same time we had a date. That's what, in the States, that's what happened. You said a date with somebody and then somehow Russia dropped an atomic bomb on her apartment, so she can't come to your date anymore. What is the likelihoods of being scammed by a woman? In the United States, I say 80% of the time. Foodie calls, weaponized sex against you, try to get you to pay for their nails first. Thank God that's never happened to me, but I just know so many people it's happened to. You got the birth control scam, you got the marriage scam. In Colombia, I found that to be 10%. I was never weaponized sex. I've never been foodie called. I mean, if she likes me, she's not going to play around with me. She's not going to use me for money. Yeah, women all want money in the long run, but is she going to just blatantly lie to you and fuck your life over and give you blue balls to do that? No, it may happen 10% of the time. Clinginess. In Colombia, 90% of the time, the women are going to be clingy. Just like Brazil. I said, if you go on a date with a chick, you're not going to be able to get rid of her. When you have a Brazilian girlfriend or a Colombian girlfriend, they don't go away. These chicks will sleep 2 hours right before they had to go to work. If they got to work at 6 a.m., they'll be hanging out with you until 4 a.m. and then sleep 2 hours and be outside at 5:59 at their job. They cling, and I love that. I mean, that's high interest. To see a chick in the States would be high interest, but like I said, our culture in the States between men and women to be cold and not to show any emotions, and that's a dumbass culture. 10% of the time, you're gonna get a chick that's clingy, and usually somebody that's clingy in the States is a woman that you don't want to cling to you anyway, so you can't win. Hygiene. 90% of the chicks in Colombia are gonna have better hygiene, and you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when the pants come down, does the whole room smell like fish? 90% of the time, you're not gonna run into that. And I'm saying that because I'm leaving room. I'm being realistic. The fish is on every continent, but it's a lot less common overseas than it is in the United States. In the United States, 40% of the women are going to have good hygiene. I mean, it got better the older I got, but it's just, and these are just the women you're picking. Again, these are women with white teeth, pink gums, a pink tongue, bubble gum, and they smell like fish. I don't get it. And 60% of the time, that's what you're going to run into. 40% of the time, in the States you won't. I'd say 60% of the time you will. Now let's talk about approachability. How approachable is a woman in Colombia? 100% of the women are approachable. They all smile, and that's anywhere outside the States. They all smile. They reject you nicely. It's not a confrontation. If you get rejected, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. All right. Next, let's go to the next one. You get rejected in the States. I mean, man, first of all, they don't usually smile. And when you approach them, she acts like she doesn't know why some random guy that she's never seen in her life is coming to approach her. And then they might act like they're in danger. And then if they reject you, they're a bitch about it. And it makes you want to cuss them out. So, I mean, you pick your poison. I mean, I don't ever get upset and cuss them out, but it makes you want to. So, yeah. If I missed anything, let me know. That was my experience comparing dating in the States versus dating in Colombia. If you found that helpful, if that made you want to take a trip to Colombia, which I highly recommend, do that. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.